Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. Now today I've got another Christmas design for you, for those of you that have still got some Christmas cards to make. Now I know some of you have told me you've finished and you're actually starting on next year's. I am so impressed. Now today I thought I'd make our lovely little cottage into a tree decoration. And this sort of came about, you know I like to introduce you into my head, and I've been making little gingerbread houses to hang on my Christmas tree, and I've been decorating the top of them. So I thought our beautiful cottage look could be made into a lovely hanging tree decoration with some nice foliage on top. I also think it looks a little bit like a cuckoo clock. And that was another thing I was going to try. You see, this is the thing. If Mr. Mojo goes, just start creating and you'll be surprised how ideas come flooding. As always, look, I've decorated the back of the card. And we've got some lovely permanent stamping and some Posca on the envelope ready. So that's ready to go in the post. And you know what? That's another card for me. So I hope you like this design. Now, if you finished all your cards, you know, it would actually make a lovely page in your journal. Or if you're doing scrapbooks, if you're going to be taking pictures over Christmas. I mean, you know. Or why not turn it into, if you've made all your cards, you know, just a thought, it's just occurred to me. A lot of us have spring trees which we hang blown eggs on. Now this, you could make it into a spring card, maybe add some beautiful spring foliage here, change the colours, oranges, yellows, and that would be a lovely hanging for spring. Just a thought for Easter, should you wish. Now I'm going to start with, and this is the Meadow Cottage, and I'm going to stamp this in black. So all my stamping is going to be my Versafine Clair, and this is the Nocturne. And I did think I could make a little wreath to hang on the door, but when I looked at the size, I thought, oh, that's just one little job too far, missus. But again, this is the way my mind works. Now, my piece of card, I don't know if I told you, it's a 5-inch square. Well, I think it is. Yes. And I'm just going to stamp that. I want to give a little bit of room for my lovely hanging chain. So I'm going to stamp it there. Give it a good stamp. Lovely. And then for the hanging chain, I've gone on one of the Christmas charms. And I love these, but I'm thinking I can just use the chain part of it. So I'm just going to turn it round and I'm just going to ink up, and I'm sticking with the black so that it all looks, you know, that lovely cohesive design. And I'm just going to put that, try and get it straight. Put it there. Now the thing to do here is make sure you haven't put your cottage too far down that you've no room for your lovely hanging chain. And again, you just need to be mindful of that. So I'm just giving my stamp a wipe and then popping it back. Now the foliage, and I'm going to add this at the top first, is this lovely Fir Cone Branch. But this I'm going to go into the Pinecone, because I'm thinking, you know, these are fir cones, so let's use Pinecone. Now there are other branch stamps that I think you could have your lovely tree decoration hanging from. And I'm just going to come in and catch it at the top. I don't want to overcook this, but also depending on the space. But if you were making, this would also make a lovely, you could put it on a DL card and maybe have some other hanging charms hanging down. Oh, that would be nice. Maybe I could just add a little hanging charm as well. Oh, do you know, I might do that. As I say, I do apologise. My mind does sort of wander. But just to mix it up a bit, let's just add a couple. And I do this, you know, it's quite funny. If I just need a little bit of paper here. if I'm trying to make some cards the same, batch card make, my mind wanders and I end up altering them slightly. Now, I'm sure I can't be the only one that does this. I think it's just when you've got that sort of creative mind, it's what you do, isn't it? So I'm thinking, let's have a charm hanging there. And then, oh, we could have a shorter one on this side. I thought I might need to mask that off, but actually I don't, look. Yeah, we don't want a longer one, do we? Just, yeah. Oh, like that. See? And if I didn't, do you know what? I just wouldn't do it on the next one. So let's add our sentiment while we're doing the sentiments. And this is from the, just let me check, the Christmas greetings. And I went from our home to yours, just because obviously for me this is my lovely little gingerbread house. And I'm just going to stamp this in brown, just because I like to have the brown sort of top and bottom. And I'm thinking I'm just going to put that there, so it's building up nicely. Now for the fun bit, we're going to add the lovely foliage. And I've got the mini berry here, and I'm going to stick with the brown. Now it has got quite a long stem on it, so I'm going to be trying to be mindful not to ink that all the way. So let's just have one there. And with this we are going to colour it in, but try and not have anything. It does look better if you don't have any stamping that you can see through where you're going to add colour. I don't know about you, but that's something I've discovered by almost doing it wrong and stamping. Now, you see, if I put it there, there's going to be too much. So I think we need it just off the page there. Because I've added my baubles, I don't want too much up here. Now, let's add a couple. And just with my Inky Binky, I'm just going to wipe this stem. And let's have one popping off the end here. But yes, like I say, if you overstamp and then you try and add colour, if you're one of our new followers, these little things sort of, for me, I learn when I almost do it wrong. You know, if I've stamped over the top of my holly, if I stamp my holly first, then I add this, then I try and colour, you can see the holly through. So it is amazing what you sort of learn. And I know that looks a bit random at the minute, but it will make sense, I promise. So I'm going to come in with my little mini holly. Now this, as you know, I have two. Again, this has a lovely big stalk, and sometimes I need the big stalk, sometimes I don't. So this one, I've just cut a little bit of it off. Very sorry, Tracy, but I have two of these. One with its stalk, one without. I did give it an anaesthetic first. I must say, you know, we have to be careful, don't we? No stamps were hurt during the making of this video. Right, onto the green, and this is Spruce. And I just want to add a little bit of foliage. So let's have a look at my house, my lovely little gingerbread house. And if I put one there, and then one there, and then let's just have a look at this size. Now, if you want to add second generation, you could. I'm going to stick with just first. And what I'm thinking is if I just catch the end and I can pop that one going that way. And then just to balance it, I'm going to add a little bit. I don't want a lot here, but just a little bit of the holly at the top. Just so that it brings that into the design. Yes, I like that. Now, I'm just going to give that a blot. And that's just on a piece of copy paper, just because your Versafine Clair is a slower drying ink. And for me, if I don't blot it, and you can see a little bit has, if I don't blot it, when I do the next bit, it will smudge a little bit. And the next bit is I'm just going to add a little bit of the elements, the olive. Because when I colour this in, when I'd made my original, I wasn't keen on seeing white space here. And I know it's just a little touch, but for me these finishing touches make all the difference. I almost needed to make the area just a bit more solid. Does that make sense? So I found number 3 brush, the small brush, always in the lid. And then I just want to come in just to add that little bit of green just around this area. As I say, it just makes it a little bit more solid. I'm not going over the berries, just going in those areas behind. And again, in the lid, we don't want to spoil it by adding too much ink. Just a little bit around the end there. And can you see, for me, just for me, I think that makes all the difference. So let's add some colour. And first of all, I'm going to come in with my pencils. My Aquarelle, you know what they are, pencils, Mondeluz. The words I cannot pronounce, I just cannot get my teeth around it. So I'm going to use a yellow. So number 2, number 5, number 26 and number 30. And for the yellow, I just want to make it look like there's somebody in the house, in my little gingerbread house. The ones I've been making light up. And so I was thinking I need these to light up or almost look like they light up. And then we'll have a little bit of orange under the eaves here. And then we'll add some brown because again it's my gingerbread cottage. Now you could colour them any colour you want. The green I'm going to pop on here. And I am going to leave the door because I want to use my Wink of Stella for the door. So I'm just going to come in with a nice little bit of colour, very light. If you're worried about having lines with your pencils, a little tip is don't press on too hard. If you press on very hard, you've more chance of getting lines. Now again, these are watercolour pencils, so you can use your water to blend them. But I'm going to use my clear Wink of Stella, a little bit of winker colouring. Well, it is Christmas, lots of sparkle. Now, with my Wink of Stella, and I've written on the barrel for me, so this is the clear. So I'm just going to blend this here. As I say, you can use a water brush if you want. I just think the Wink of Stella blends it beautifully like a water brush would, but also gives me that lovely sparkle. Look at that in the orange, and then just clean the nib. Lovely. Next we'll come in with the red and the grey. Now the red, first of all, I got a bit of kitchen roll just to lean on. So the little berries, look, this red is beautiful. And as I say, because it's got sparkle, so we'll colour the smaller berries first. Now I'm leaving the baubles because I'm thinking I'll wait till I've coloured everything else and then see what colour to do them, because I didn't have them on my original. So that's the little berries. And then for the larger berries, I'm going to use my silver just for a bit of depth. So if I put the silver on, look, and then come over with the red, it gives me that little bit of shadowing. So that hence gives me that bit of depth. So grey first, and then in with the red. Red front door. And again, such a quick, easy way to colour this. But because you get that sparkle, and with the grey, I'm just going to add a little bit, just where we've got those shadows, look. I'm going to come in under the windows, under the eaves. And I love this. I call it grey, it's silver. So if I've said grey, I mean silver. Just because in my head, the silver, can you see, almost comes and looks like grey. So it gives me that lovely shadowing. So a little bit more, and Tracy's drawn the dots. If you're not sure where to add your darker colour, just look at the design. Tracy's really good. She's drawn the dots where you want that darker colour. Just lean on this. Don't want to get any marks on this white bit. I want some nice white area on this card. She says, oh, one more there. So grey first, and then in with the lovely red, and just blend it over that grey. And as I say, it'll give us that lovely deep colour, that lovely shadowing. So what I'm thinking is the baubles. Do I do them red? Well, decisions. I've got a lovely gold here, and I'm just going to add some gold onto the stonework around the windows. Now, do I do that? What you see, if I could ask you, we could have a little poll. Now, I've decided, decision made, I'm going to do them gold. So when I've finished, so we'll have a little bit of shadowing down here. When I finish the design, I'm going to go for gold. If we don't like the gold, do you know what, a little tip, in all honesty, if I was going to say if I don't like the gold, I'll do it again. But what I would do, in all seriousness, if I didn't like the gold, I would stamp the bauble again on a piece of spare card, because we've all got spare card, and just decoupage over the top in another colour. But you see how that silver with that gold just gives it that extra depth. I'm going to go over that in gold just to bring in a little bit more. And maybe just here, over the windows. Yeah, I think the gold could be the right choice. We'll just add a little bit more of that silver to give a bit more depth on those baubles. Yeah, happy with that. Next thing, the Signo pen, and this is the bronze. And all I'm going to do with this is just highlight the chain. Again, it's not a great detail, but it's enough. And with my brown, I'm just going to add a little bit of colour onto this fir cone look, but I'm only colouring the base of it, because that way it looks like we've got snow on the top without me adding any white, and it almost doesn't look see-through. It gives it a bit of body. Now, I think that's building up lovely. So, finishing tricks, the white pen, your Signo pen. I'm just going to add a little dot in the windows. Now, it will show up better when your berries are dry. So I normally leave my Wink of Stella to dry a little bit longer. But I'm aware you've probably got things to do and you can't spend all day or all night with me, which is a shame, because do you know what? You'd be very welcome. So we'll add a little bit of highlight on the door, and then just on these, look. As I say, I would just leave it a bit longer, but I think there's enough that you can see just these little highlights and little dots. And then there we have it. We've got our lovely, and I just love that. I do think some little gingerbread men just to go inside our little gingerbread house. You know, I just think as a hanging decoration for me, and it's a way of using a stamp in a different way. And you know me, I just love doing that. I get so excited, you know, when I think of ways of using stamps that I haven't done already. I have to say, it was last night when I couldn't sleep, and I was just thinking about making these lovely little hanging houses, and I thought, oh, and I got the idea. Right, I'm going to add some Posca. If you don't want your Posca, leave it off at this point. If you want to add some stickles or some glitter, again, your finishing touches, it's really up to you and how you feel, and also who you're sending the card to, if you know, because not everybody likes glitter. Some people love glitter, and I do tend to, you know, as I say, look at who I'm sending it to, but you know me, we've got to have the Posca. So give it a good shake. And I'm just going to add just over the house, and then just down here on this area where it's quite white. And a little tip, if you've got any finger marks, just put your Posca Snow on it. Honestly, detract from it, no problem. Right, don't want to overcook it. We don't want a blizzard. Put the lid on that. Move the paper away. And let's have a little look. So there's my lovely hanging gingerbread house. And if I bring in the original one, so there's the original one. And again, I haven't matted and laid. I've just left white on white. I think for Christmas, that's all we need. And I've got my lovely little envelope. And if I just put that over there, there we go. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you have got some Christmas cards left to make, you know, what a lovely thing. And it's something a bit different. Doesn't take a lot, doesn't take a lot of time. But I've got to be honest, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, what do we think? With or without the extra ornaments? You see, I like both. I've got to be honest. This one I've stamped a little bit further down, so we've got more of the chain showing. Again, you can alter that. You could make it even longer, stamp it a couple of times and mask off. I think you could, you could put 2 or 3 of these. You could have a garland, couldn't you, with, say, 3 hanging down? Oh, do you know what? I can't wait to see what you do. So I hope you take this as an idea, a little bit of inspiration to whet that crafty appetite, and then make something, please, post it and share. Let's share our creativity with everybody. Please tag me in so I can see. I'd love to see where you take this idea that my little mind, the way it wanders. But I know yours does too. So thanks for popping in as always. I will see you again tomorrow. You take care. Have a lovely evening. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.